Hi everybody, it's Judy here. In today's video, I'm going to be mixing some dirt. I'm going to be making a soil mix. I recently showed how I made my soil mix in my last repotting video, and if you want to check that out, I'll leave it in the description box down below. But I wanted to make one video on its own just showing you how I mix my soil mix. Before I do get into making this soil mix, however, I want to explain, and someone brought this up in my repotting video when I was showing how I made the soil in that video. Someone brought this up and it was an excellent point. If you struggle with underwatering, if you're a very busy person like I am and you tend to underwater your plants, then you may not need to even make this chunky soil mix. You can just well and truly use the soil straight out of the bag and not add all these other mediums into it. What these mediums do, what I will be adding into the soil mix, essentially helps drainage and doesn't let the plant stay too wet for too long. Using this soil mix as is fine. Most of my plants are currently sitting in this soil mix without all these other bits added into it. I've just recently started mixing my own soil mix because I thought, why not? If you're beginning out in plants, you don't have to make this soil mixture. You really don't. They are perfectly happy and fine in this mix. However, if you do struggle with overwatering your plants, it is helpful to have all these other things mixed in with your soil to make it more draining, make it more airy. Hence, the water evaporates out of the soil a lot quicker because it's a lot more chunky. So there's just that to keep in mind. Thank you for the person that pointed that out. When I read that comment, I was like, you are absolutely correct. I don't know why I did this. I personally struggle with underwatering. I'm gonna try and be better with watering my plants though, but because I do shower them, it is a little bit harder than just going around with a watering can and topping up the soil, because I like to let my soil dry completely and then give it a really thorough watering all the way around, not just a tiny little cup of water here and there, because that isn't really watering. I personally don't think that's a proper way of watering. That may be an unpopular opinion, and sometimes I do that watering with a watering can just to tide me through till there's a time where I can spend the afternoon or the day just taking my plants into the shower, showering them, watering them thoroughly, and then taking them out. So just do whatever works for you, whatever is best for you. You know what your living habits are, you know what your time is like, so it's really up to you whether or not you want to go in with a chunky soil mix for your plants, or if you are a serial underwaterer like I am, just use the soil straight out of this bag. However, I am going to be mixing my soil mix because I'm going to try and be better with watering my plants in the shower more regularly. I don't know how that's going to go. Who knows, I might end up underwatering a lot of my plants. But as it is, this is a journey and I learn alongside my plants. I just wanted to get it all mixed up and into a box of soil mix ready to go. I've got some here that's already mixed up, but I'm gonna add it all into here just because I already have that box. I'm just gonna get started, okay? Another reason why I wanted to create all this soil mix is because I've started that repotting service that I talked about in my repot video. I want to have some chunky soil mix to use in my repotting service as well, and just have this soil mix ready to go for that when I do get people asking me to repot their plants. I've had a few people, like friends in my town and customers in my town, express their interest, so I know I'll have a few people, and even if it's not like heaps of people wanting me to repot their plants, that's fine. At least I'll have the soil in the box ready to go. Okay, so first of all, I should have tied my hair, but it's a bit late now, I got the gloves on. First of all, what I've got here is this Coir garden soil. It's kind of like, it's peat moss, kind of, but it's in a brick, it's dehydrated, it's all packed in there. So what I have to do is soak this in some water, let it soak it all up, and then it will come apart into garden soil. So that's what I'm gonna do here. Okay, so first thing I wanna do is to get all this peat moss, Coir, softened up, moistened up. I think I'm just gonna do the whole brick because why not? It's probably gonna be really messy to take it apart anyway, if I just wanted to do half of it. So here I've got a bowl of water. It's pretty simple. Just let it sit in there and soak. This brick makes a ton. It expands out to like a lot. So I'm just gonna add more water in there. I could have had this brick already moistened, ready to go, but I wanted to do it with you guys so you can see the real, see how things are done, and also content, you know? It's gonna take a while. Just gonna let it soak in all that water, and then I suppose while I'm waiting for this to soak in, I'll mix all this other stuff. So let's move that along. All right. In this box, let's pretend I don't already have my leftover soil mix in this box. Okay, so in this box, I am going to add this soil mix. This is the Osmocote Indoor Plant Premium Soil Mix. You really can use this straight out of the bag. It's perfectly fine to use straight out of the bag. Just understand that this soil mix actually stays quite moist for a while. So if you tend to underwater your plants, just use this as is out of the box. I wanted to have a soil mix that's a little bit more chunky and airy, which is why I'm mixing it up today. Now, I don't have any percentages. I probably should have percentages, like a recipe for this soil, but honestly, I mix my soil like I cook. I measure nothing. Not unless I absolutely have to, like with baking and stuff, which is why I don't like baking really. I prefer to just cook and throw things in the pot, you know? So I probably should position this camera better so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. All right, now I've got this Brunnings Horticultural Charcoal. This helps with drainage, as nearly all these things that I'm adding in with this soil mix does. I'm just being a little bit careful here because it is quite dusty and I don't really want to breathe it in. Probably should ideally do this kind of job outside, guys, just so you know. It wasn't quite a full bag. I would already used some of it in this original soil mix that I'd done before. Next, I'm gonna dump in there some Orchid Premium Potting Mix. Now, this one has a 6 months feeding fertilizer in it, so when you do mix this, you probably don't need to fertilize with a liquid fertilizer anytime soon for at least 6 months. It's got orchid bark, calcium, potassium, and trace elements that are really beneficial for indoor plants. So I'm just gonna dump the whole bunch of that in there. And next I'm going to put in some perlite. Now perlite just helps with drainage as well and keeps the soil airy. So I'm gonna probably use maybe like half this bag full. It's really dusty, really dusty. Woo! Don't breathe it in, guys. Not ideal. Perlite just really helps with aeration and drainage in the soil. And lastly, I'm going to add some pure worm castings. Now what worm castings is basically worm poop. And this is an organic slow release fertilizer that you need within your indoor plant soil mix. So I think I'm just gonna go in with the whole lot of it, because I'm about to do a Bunnings run this afternoon and I'm gonna top up on my worm castings. So that's basically it. Now I've just gotta wait for that cocoa peat brick to moisten, and then we can mix it in with all of this stuff. I'm gonna try and break up this brick to hasten up the process. Like I said, it takes a while. Ooh, there we go, it's cut in half. So I'm just gonna break it up, and this is probably gonna take a while. So I guess while I'm doing this, I could talk about some plants that really enjoy a chunky soil mix. So ficuses like their soil to dry out in between watering, so you could definitely use this type of soil mix for ficuses. Most plants, aeroids, climbing plants like Monstera or Siltepecana, micans, philodendrons, they would do really well in this type of soil mix as well. The plants that probably won't really enjoy this, especially if you are a serial underwaterer like myself, is probably calatheas and alocasias, because those like their soil to stay kind of like consistently moist, not sopping wet, just like not dry out completely between waterings. It's just also a matter of understanding what kind of soil conditions your plant specifically likes to have. I guess you could probably like use this universally for all your plants in your collection, but ideally it's best to know what kind of conditions your plant prefers before you go ahead and pot it up in this really super well draining, airy, chunky soil mix as well. Oh, also with the soil mix that I use, the Osmocote Indoor Plant Soil Mix, you don't have to use that one. That one's just ready to go on its own. You could just use a premium potting mix and use that to mix in with this. You don't have to use that soil mix that's already ready to go. I'm making a really big mess here. I feel like I just vacuumed the other day. Anybody else who's a plant parent feel like you're constantly vacuuming soil up off the floor even though you didn't do any repotting or anything like that? You just find soil on the floor. Now I'm just breaking up those little clumpy bits and making sure that they've absorbed some of that moisture. Then I'm probably gonna add about half of this to that soil mix and use the other half for some propagations. I do want to start on some propagations already now that it's spring. Probably should have done it a few weeks ago, but I've been really slack. Actually, not slack, I've been really busy. All with the setting up the shop and work and all that. It's just been absolutely hectic. And I've done a Sunday market as well, so that's been really filling up my time. So no, I'm not slack, I'm just very busy. Just not enough hours in the day, you know? All right, so that one brick made this whole tub. All right, now I'm gonna add half of this into this box and then we'll mix it all together and that's that. All right, here we go. And add some of that into here. And essentially just mix it all together. It's actually so satisfying when you mix all that dirt together, just seeing it all combine. So there we have it. This is how to mix a soil mix, a nice, chunky, airy, fluffy one. And that's basically it. What I'm gonna do with the rest of this peat moss is actually mix the rest of that perlite in with it, this one here, and use this as a propagation box because I'm gonna do another whole bunch of cuttings and propagations in an upcoming video. And I'm gonna use this stuff to do that. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful and informational. Now, this isn't the be-all and all way to mix soil. I'm sure there's a lot of other different ways and methods and ingredients, and this is just the way I do it, you know? So I just thought you guys might want to see that. Yeah, thanks for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't, and I shall see you guys in my next video. Bye! I